A very warm greetings to the viewers who are watching this. So, myself Deepak Kumar Pari, a student of PhD College of Arts and Science, and today we are going to discuss about a spoilage of vegetables and fruits and the microbes involved in it, its characteristic features, and its significance. So, here comes the good fruits, the vegetables, and how is it becoming, like getting spoiled or getting damaged. So let's go for introduction. We know that fresh fruits and vegetables are an extraordinary dietary source of nutrients, as well as micronutrients, vitamins, and fibers for humans, and an essentially basic raw material for the food industry. Because we know that all the foods what we get, whether it's packaged or the foods what we eat, it's mostly it is actually the cooked or the processed one, right? We eat less of the raw ones, but we eat mostly the processed ones. So, in addition, fruits and vegetables are widely exposed to microbial contamination through contact with soil, dust, and water, and by handling at harvest. And that is actually the most important way of getting spoilage, or that is at the harvest or during the post harvest processing. So, thereby establishing conditions that may lead to spoilage and loss of quality. So let's say a single produce such as tomato is cultivated under many different climates and at many latitudes from its tropical area of origin to the colder Nordic countries. We know that tomato is like a cosmopolitan crop where you can grow in tropical areas which has condition of 25 degrees Celsius and more than that, as well as Nordic countries which has nearly in minus conditions. So that is how uh, the vegetables and fruits can adapt themselves and grow up to it. Now comes the characteristics of fruits and vegetables and their roles in microbial spoilage. Now, fruits and vegetables are the edible parts of the plant organs of very diverse nature. Let's say, like we know that leaves, like lettuce and cabbage, they come under that category. Leek and asparagus comes under stems. Flowers and artichoke, like cauliflower and broccoli, they come under the flowers. Beet, carrot, and turnip comes under roots. Garlic and onion comes under bulbs. Potato comes under tubers. And obviously, we know if you come under the category of fruits, right? It simply means the ovary part of the plant, right, which has been matured enough to be taken as the fruit. Example, let's say simple fruit like tomato and cucumber, stone fruits like peach, seed fruit like apple, right? Multiple fruits such as pineapple, aggregate fruits such as raspberry, and fruits consumed in their immature form such as green beans. And the images, if you see down, right, these are some of the rare. I mean, like let's say artichoke or let's say asparagus or leek, right? So those we have not seen much. So these are the images regarding that. So next comes the important microbial agents, and mostly let me say you that it is actually the fungi which causes most of the damages. Bacteria do cause, but the damages and the market loss happened by them is pretty less when compared to the king of destroyers, that is the fungus. So let's go to the first one, that is Alternaria alternata. The type of disease caused by them is black rot or black spots, which leads to dark lesions forming on the fruits. So the produce which gets affected are green beans, solanaceous vegetables like potato, tomato, citrus, and mango. So biology, if you go at it, it's at the end of the stem the pathogen penetrates or through the flowers or stem scars. Next comes Botrytis cinerea. It causes soft rot covered with gray mold. So cucurbit, green bean, pea, lettuce, carrot, etc. are the produce affected. And what are the conditions which favors it? It is actually the wet conditions and also low temperature, right? Which may lead to spreading into the neighboring fruits, and this process is what called as the nesting of Botrytis cinerea. Next comes Coleotrichum musae, right? It causes dark circular spots on ripening fruits, and the produce affected is obviously banana. And let me say you viewers here, anthracnose, right? This sort of disease or the symptoms what we see it also happens in humans. So Coleotrichum musae, especially the Coleotrichum genus, its mutant forms also affects the humans. So if you see the biology, it is a quiescent infection until fruit ripen. And as we know, quiescent is nothing but from the name itself denotes that they will be dormant for a certain period of time unless until the ripening of fruit has taken place. Which means Now we know that the hormones are responsible for ripening is ethylene in fruits, right, in plants. So once the ethylene starts getting released, right, it will trigger the cell cycle of the fungus Calotrophyllum, where the M phase, where that the mitotic phase, which has undergone G naught phase, that is the quiescent phase, will change to G1 phase. So that is how they will start dividing and they will carry on the process, which means the infection. Next comes Geotrichum candidum, right? It causes sour rot. The produce affected are carrot, tomato, citrus, and the biology is it's a soil pathogen, right? And transmission happens through vectors like insects, or let's say if there are wounds or some sort of openings, they would carry on. Next comes Penicillium species. Obviously, the name is very general, and the type of disease caused is blue mold, green mold, or let's say lesions, covering lesions. The produce affected are onions, garlic, grape, apple, etc. And the wound, I mean, the biology is similar to the previous one. That is the wound pathogen, and also center of lesions, the centered spores gets released. So monilinear species, it causes brown rot or white molds, which is in concentric circles, the appearance, and it affects mostly the apple or stone fruits. It survives in winter on mummified fruits, and infection may remain quiescent or immature fruits. Next comes Rhizophus species. It causes soft, very wet rot and development of profuse mycelium with spore heads turning black. As you can see, the mycelium forming. And let me ask you, what is mycelium? Pretty easy answer, right? Mycelium is nothing but a network of hyphae. So this network of hyphae comes out at a very rapid rate once the infection has crossed its quiescent stage. So the produce affected are papaya, pea, sweet potatoes, stone fruits, etc. And this is ubiquitous. Yes, as we know, rhizophos is ubiquitous. It is omnipotent and omnipresent like the god. And the infection at or after harvest by wound, which may happen mostly, or by contact with soil or infected produce. And next comes the bacteria, which is the Erwinia cartovora, which causes soft rot, and produce affected are cucurbita, brassica, asparagus, lettuce, carrot, etc. And the infection happens by wounds and scars and lenticels. Let me ask you, my dear viewers, what are lenticels? Those are not lentils, what you are thinking, like, the dal, the Bengal gram, the tur dal, what we used to have it, right? The sambar and the dal. No, it's not. That is lentils. This is lenticels. Lenticels are nothing but, like, as we have nostrils on our nose, right, which helps in exchange of gases, right, from the lungs to the atmosphere. Like that, lenticels also helps in exchange of gases. They are actually helping hands of stomata, because stomata works in the daytime and at the night time they closes, right? But this lenticels, these openings helps in exchange of gases, especially to the accessory parts of the plant, like say, like parenchyma cells or collenchyma cells, right? So that's it. So next comes the characteristics. Now we know that the water content of cell vacuole and cell wall organization of the plant cell, these are actually the areas where are most prone to the microbial contamination or the attacks. Let's say the hydrophobic cuticle consisting of cutin on the surface of the plants, which may help in maintaining the evapotranspiration. That's good. But let's say microbes gain entry through this cuticle area. Natural openings like stomata or lenticels, which I said you before, 1 minute, right? They are involved in respiration and transpiration, also becomes a way for pathogen entry. And here comes a term called trichomes. Can anyone say me what is trichomes? It's pretty simple. We know that root has root hairs. Same thing, the stem has stem hairs. These are called trichomes. All right. And next comes the respiratory rate. Now, respiration rate is nothing but how quicker, right, the energy production happens. Like, let's say we humans, we breathe quicker, which means our body becomes heated up quicker, which means we require large amount of energy. Let's say we are running, we breathe faster. Same thing, if the fruits have a higher respiration rate, which means they are more susceptible to higher microbial attack. So respiration rate becomes important. And senescence process leading to horticultural maturity. Senescence, as the term denotes, the old age or the senile age, as we say. So obviously they will be weaker in their immune system, and will lead to microbial contamination. Post harvest moisture loss, obviously, degradation of phenolic compounds and tannins during ripening of fruits, leading to invasion of microbes. We know that humans, or let's say mammals, have immune system which has antibodies, immunoglobulins, basophils, eosinophils, leukocytes. The list goes on. But we know that plant does not have a immune system like us. It has immune system which is very different. And one of the most important, or let's say some of the most important components of the immune system of plants include the phenolic compounds or the tannins, which actually help in protecting the plant. And may I ask you, what is the immunoglobulin like substance which is produced by plants, which help them shield themselves from microbial attacks? I hope you would have got by now. You know that we have antibodies, right? So what about plants? Plants will be having the plantibodies. So it's a fact which we got to remember it. Next comes the origin of contamination. So, fruits and vegetables harbor a wide range of microbial contaminants like aerobic mesophilic bacteria, molds, and yeast. So, the post harvest handling and spoilage through different routes like seed, stem, etc. Obviously, rainwater, irrigation water, that is especially, the man made, the anthropogenic, especially the farmers, right? What happens is that they have pectolytic bacteria like bacillus and clostridium, and we know pectin is nothing but it's a cement layer found in the plant cells, right? So these layers get degraded by pectolytic bacteria, and therefore invasion of microbes happens. Now wooden boxes used for storage carries rhizoctonia and sclerotinia, which causes lesions. Orchard air and cold storage air, the wine producing areas, especially the vineyards, right? The grapes and other grapes like fruits which is used for wine production, helps in invasion of microbes. Natural openings of plants, like as I said you before, lenticels and stomata, right? They are susceptible to specific species like penicillium and also human intervention. Now, causing the spoilage. Pseudomonas fluorescens produces a biosurfactant, right, called as viscosin, which decays the broccoli florets. As the name donates, it's some sort of toxins, right? Whether it might be entero or it might be exotoxins, which gets released, right, and starts decaying the fruit surface. I mean, the vegetable surface. Mycocentrospora acerina is related to production of pectinases and glucanase, which helps in pathogenesis of soft rot disease. And as the name suggests, pectinase, destruction of pectin, and glucanase, destruction of glucose. So purified pectin degrading enzymes are able to macerate plant tissues and cause cell death without involving other toxic factors. As you know, the word macerate, which means it makes the plant parts soften so that the plant loses its turgidity, its viability soon enough so that it gets susceptible to even insect attacks also. Some molds, in particular the Alternaria species, have very specific host parasite interaction leading to disease through mycotoxins. The name suggests mycotoxins are nothing but the toxins released by the fungus. Now, the production of oxalic acid has shown to occur in a number of diseases caused by Sclerotium rolfsi. So, let me ask you a question. Can someone say me what tomato has which acid tomato has? Obviously, as I asked a question on basis of oxalic acid, so remember tomato has oxalic acid. So what are the effects of temperature, humidity, and atmosphere? A decrease in temperature by 10 degrees Celsius reduces the respiratory activity by 2 to 3 fold. And as you know, right, higher the respiratory activity, higher the chances for getting susceptible towards the microbe invasion. So all it depends upon this temperature, which becomes an important limiting factor, as we say. So close to 0 degrees Celsius is recommended for most commodities, with the exception of those of tropical origin, which will suffer from chilling injuries, because we know tropical crops are well adapted of at least handling of 15 degrees Celsius, and if you go less than that, then it's a doomsday for those plants. So modified atmosphere used in combination to chill storage also reduce the physiological activity of fresh produce. Example, reducing the oxygen concentration from 21 to 2.5% during storage of broccoli results in 50% decrease in respiration rate. Because as you know, right, let's say for an example, we are in plain area, so our hemoglobin will have the capacity of oxygen transfer, let's say 80%. But once we start climbing up to mountain area or something, right, our oxygen capacity decreases, right, for a certain amount of time. Why? Because the atmospheric pressure is less, so oxygen content will also be less. So due to which we start what to say, wheezing, we feel uneasiness, nausea, like, right? So if you check the RBC content of the mountain people along with the plain people, you'll find a heavy difference. That is, the mountain people will be having a huge amount of hemoglobin, right, huge amount of RBC production when compared to the people staying on plains, because the oxygen content is low. So you need maximum amount of transporting agent, so that whatever oxygen is available, we can transport it to all parts of the body. So that's a food for the brain fat. And let's come back. So either a reduction in O2 or an increase in CO2 delays the growth of many post-harvest pathogens without complete inhibition. So next comes controlling the spoilage. First one is easier one, that is physical treatment. Either you use ionizing radiations like the UV rays, the gamma rays, right, which to extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. Doses lower than 4 kilo giga. Uh, I'm sorry, I forgot the unit there, which reduces thousandfold the germination of major plant harvest pathogens such as penicillium species, or let's say Monilinia fructiola, or let's say Alternania species. Whereas ionizing radiations are useful for inhibiting growth of microbes, but not for complete elimination of microbial contents, because we know that slowly, due to evolution and due to founder's principle or genetic drift, all right, what happens is that slowly the outer layers of the microbes, they have started developing such mechanisms where now they can even shield themselves from ionizing radiations too. Great, unbelievable. So pre-storage heat treatment is used for green pepper, apple, and citrus. Two types of application is used. One is the short-term exposure for a few seconds at 60 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Celsius for 60 to 120 minutes. So this process of long-term exposure is called curing. So, or you can, these are temperature based, and also you can do by rinsing or spraying hot water. Now these treatments reduce the natural epiphytic microflora by thousandfold. Epiphytic in the sense something which is on the surface. Now come on, endophytic, can we even kill? No, because plants outer layer will be protecting it. And if we use even high temperature, what will happen? We will be able to kill the endophytic microorganism, but the thing is that the plant will be also dead, right? So this process is especially helpful for the ectophytic microbes. Next comes the chemical treatment. A lot of chemicals been used, like let's say fungicides, right, which has to be approved by legal authorities in India, like CIB in India. And CIB, I feel it is a Central Insecticides Board. And benzimidazoles, right, has antispollulant properties which inhibits tubulin. And tubulin is a very important part of the spindle fibers, or let's say during mitotic spindle formation, which attaches to the chromosomes during metaphase stage. So these tubulins are pretty important, because after this tubulins forms, then only the cell starts dividing, which means the metaphase changes to anaphase, and anaphase to telophase. Now if you know there are some chemicals which will inhibit this tubulin, so that cell division does not take place and the population is controlled at the same time. So imalazine inhibits biosynthesis of ergosterol, an essential component in the membrane of fungal cells. And dicarboxymides alter the osmotic adaptation capabilities of molds. Other antimicrobial includes acetaldehyde, let's say hexanal, and essential oils, which like let's say one of the essential oil called carvone, right, in the storage atmosphere, are shown to reduce the decay of potato tubers from Forma exigua and Fusarium sulphureum. Quite great. Now, decontamination. How do we decontaminate it? This process aims to reduce the micro load on the surface, thereby prolonging the time to develop the spoilage. Like for example, hypochlorous acid, the chlorine dioxide, ozone, and hydrogen peroxide. These are mostly commonly used. For example, pre-storage chlorine application at suitable concentration and for appropriate exposure time results in significant reduction of black spot disease caused by Alternaria alternata, right, on persimmon fruit. Now people will be thinking, what is that persimmon fruit? Viewers, please sit down. Persimmon is mostly, we call it as the Japani phal in Hindi. It's like mostly like a mango type or tomato type, okay, which is pretty taste, okay, and also pretty costly too. So, and as you can see, nectarines by Monilineal laxa. The nectarines, the red color one, you can see on the right corner, the image, those are nectarines. Now comes how a triggering defense mechanism, how the fruits and vegetables trigger the defense mechanism they have in themselves, right? As I said to you before, the plantibodies, the phenolics and tannins, right? Here it comes. So for post-harvest microinfection, right, like carrot roots in which inoculation of Botrytis cinerea near the root tip produces infection after subsequent inoculation, like something called as the primary and secondary immune response happening by the plant. So, range of biotic and abiotic factors induce defense reactions have shown to improve quality retention, and direct application of calcium solutions on fruits and vegetables increases the calcium content in tissues, which controls the P expansum on apples. Because we know that calcium is helps in reinforcement of pectin bonds. Because as I said before, pectin bonds are nothing but the cementing material in the plant cell wall, right? And if plant cell wall are able to protect themselves from the attack of these microbes, then it's good for the plant, right? So calcium helps in actually reinforcement of the pectin bonds, making cell wall more resistant to the pectic enzymes. So chitosan has antimicrobial activity, which when coated on fresh fruits and vegetables inhibits the toxin production in plants, which increases the phytoalexin production and structural changes in cell wall as well. Now biological control, as you can, which means that you're trying to use biological individuals or organisms to control the biological individuals, which is the fruits and the vegetables. So it includes, like for example, the pyrrolnitrine is produced by Pseudomonas cepacia, which shows to control the blue mold rot caused by P. expansum. Now, mechanisms of competition like yeast, like Oreobasidium pullulans, depletes amino acids in fiber and inhibits germination of P. expansum in apple juice. So biocontrol agents, especially strains of yeast like Candida oleophila and Bacterium Pseudomonas syringae, are registered as biopesticides in United States. Thank you guys. I hope you would have got not some but a varied idea, right, regarding what are the fruits and vegetables, the spoiling organisms to it, and how are we able to control it, right? How we can treat it, and most importantly, how we can sustain it. So, thank you guys. Have a good day.